Have you ever stopped to wonder why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly, growing richer year after year, while others struggle endlessly despite all their effort and good intentions? It's a question that has puzzled many, stirring a quiet frustration inside, a longing to understand what separates the successful from those who remain stuck, spinning their wheels without real progress. The truth, however, is not a secret hidden in complicated formulas or lucky breaks. It is a divine law, a universal principle that governs success and wealth just as surely as the seasons follow one another. Wealth is not a river you stumble upon by chance, nor is it a treasure buried for the lucky few to find. It is a garden you cultivate with consistent care, patience, and intention. It's time to awaken from complacency, to realize that the life you have is the life you've built by the choices you make each day. If there's a secret formula for unstoppable wealth, it is not in magic or mystery, but in the laws that govern life itself. So I ask you, are you ready to uncover this formula and start building wealth that can never be taken from you? Let's begin this journey together. The secret formula for building unstoppable wealth is anchored in one of the oldest, most profound principles known to man, the law of sowing and reaping. This principle, rooted deeply in Scripture and echoed throughout history, teaches us that what we plant today, whether in effort, thought, or resources, we will harvest tomorrow. Imagine a farmer standing in a vast field, casting seeds into the fertile earth. The outcome of the harvest is not left to chance, but is guaranteed by the natural order of cause and effect. The seeds sown will grow into a bountiful crop. Just as the farmer does not expect fruit from the soil without planting, nurturing, and tending the crop, so too does wealth not appear in your life without intentional sowing of effort, discipline, and wise choices. This law is absolute. No exceptions, no shortcuts. It operates quietly, relentlessly, and impartially. What you sow in your financial life, be it discipline, saving, investing, learning, will grow and multiply. What you neglect or squander will lead to loss and regret. The beauty of this law is that it offers certainty in an uncertain world. It tells us that wealth is not a product of luck or fortune, but of consistent, purposeful action aligned with universal truth. And as we embrace this law fully, confidence rises within us because we no longer leave our future to chance, but take control by sowing wisely today for a harvest that will sustain us for a lifetime. But while this law is simple and powerful, it is often misunderstood, twisted, or ignored. Let us now break down the myths that cloud this timeless truth and prevent so many from realizing their financial destiny. Before we move deeper into this secret formula, it's crucial that we clear away the fog of myths and misconceptions that cloud the path to wealth for so many. These myths act like shadows, distorting the truth and leading countless good-hearted people astray. The first myth is the belief that wealth is primarily a matter of luck or inheritance, that some people are just born into it or stumble upon it by chance. This is a comforting story to tell ourselves because it removes responsibility. But the truth is, luck is a fickle and fleeting companion. An inheritance is a rare gift, not a reliable plan. Real wealth is built through consistent, deliberate effort and wise decisions over time, not through a lottery ticket or family legacy. This myth lulls many into passivity, waiting for fortune to find them instead of actively building it. The second myth we must confront is the false promise of quick schemes and overnight riches. We live in a culture obsessed with instant gratification, and many are seduced by promises of easy money. Get-rich-quick schemes, lottery wins, risky gambles. But let me tell you from experience and observation, lasting wealth has never been the result of a single dramatic event. It is the result of slow, steady, disciplined actions compounded over years. Those who chase fast fortunes often lose everything and more. They mistake luck for skill and confusion for strategy. Real wealth is a marathon, not a sprint, and understanding this is a turning point. The third myth is the belief that talent or intelligence alone guarantees success. While these qualities are valuable, they are insufficient without discipline, perseverance, and the right mindset. Many brilliant people live paycheck to paycheck because they lack the habits and philosophy that create wealth. Talent without application and discipline often leads to frustration and missed potential. The secret formula is not reserved for geniuses or prodigies, but for those willing to adopt the right principles and commit to consistent action. At the heart of busting these myths is the theological understanding of personal responsibility and integrity. Wealth is not a random gift or an accident. It is the fruit of aligning your life with universal laws and moral truths. It requires humility to accept responsibility for your choices and courage to live with integrity even when no one is watching. This perspective transforms wealth from a pursuit of selfish gain into a journey of stewardship, where your success reflects your character and values. As the fog of these myths clears, a powerful clarity emerges. The formula for unstoppable wealth is simple, but requires a committed heart and disciplined hands. It's not hidden or complicated. It's right in front of us, waiting to be embraced. To bring this to life, let me share with you a story of a man who transformed his life, not by luck, but by learning and living this very formula. Let me take you back to a time in my life when I was just a young man, full of ambition but lacking direction. Much like many who listen to these words today, I was working hard, striving to build a better future. But the truth was, I was drifting. I thought that sheer effort alone would carry me to success. But as the days turned into years, I found myself stuck in the same place, barely scraping by. Then, by what seemed like a twist of fate, I met a man named Earl Schoaf, a mentor whose wisdom would forever change my life. Earl didn't hand me a magic formula wrapped in glittering promises. Instead, he introduced me to a timeless law, the law of sowing and reaping, and taught me that wealth, like any great achievement, is a garden cultivated by the seeds we plant daily through our actions, choices, and philosophy. I remember vividly the early conversations with Earl, how he challenged me to stop blaming circumstances and start examining my own habits. He likened life to a ship lost at sea, without a compass, drifting aimlessly through the waves. Many people, he said, are caught in this drift, working hard but without direction, watching opportunities slip by, and wondering why their fortunes never change. What Earl offered me was the compass of discipline, a roadmap built on character, personal development, and deliberate sowing of good seeds. The lessons were hard, requiring me to confront my laziness, my poor choices, and my lack of vision. But in that confrontation, I found the power to change. The story of my transformation is not one of overnight success or sudden riches, but of daily, committed change, applying the law of sowing and reaping not just to money, but to every area of my life. I learned to work harder on myself than on my job, to set clear goals, to practice discipline as a bridge between dreams and reality, to surround myself with winners, and to sow generously and wisely. Each of these pillars, when embraced, became a stepping stone from drift to unstoppable wealth. This journey wasn't easy. There were setbacks, temptations to quit, and moments of doubt. But the law is unwavering. Sow discipline, reap success. Sow laziness, reap frustration. This story, like that of many who have walked the path of deliberate wealth building, shows us that wealth is not a stroke of luck or the result of privilege, but the fruit of a steadfast commitment to universal laws of success. It's a journey where grace meets effort, where wisdom is gifted but requires action, and where the greatest riches come not just from money, but from the person you become in the process. Now, having shared this story, it's time to look closely at how to apply this formula in your daily life so that you too can build wealth that is unstoppable and enduring. Among the 5 pillars that uphold the secret formula for unstoppable wealth, the very first, and perhaps the most vital, is the principle that you must work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This is a profound truth, one that challenges the prevailing notion that success comes primarily from working longer hours or pushing harder at your current occupation. The reality is that the foundation of wealth and success is built on personal development, on the steady, determined cultivation of your character, your skills, your mindset, and your capacity to create value in the world. Your job may provide income, but the investment you make in yourself determines the trajectory of your entire life, the size of your income, and the sustainability of your success. Think of your character and personal growth as the soil in which the seeds of wealth are planted. No matter how fertile the soil, if it is neglected, overrun with weeds, or poor in nutrients, the seeds will not thrive. Likewise, your financial success depends on the quality of the soil you cultivate within yourself. Your habits, your discipline, your learning, your attitude. When you invest more energy into yourself than into the day-to-day demands of your job, you enrich this soil, preparing it to yield a bountiful harvest. This means dedicating time each day to reading, listening, studying, and reflecting, not for entertainment, but for growth. It means developing skills that will increase your value beyond what your current role demands. It means becoming the kind of person who attracts opportunity rather than waiting for it to fall into your lap. This pillar also demands a radical shift in perspective. Instead of thinking of yourself as just a worker who must punch the clock, you begin to see yourself as a lifelong student and creator, someone who is constantly evolving, growing, and investing in their future. You embrace the fact that your income will rarely exceed your level of personal development, and therefore, the most important work you can do is the work of self-improvement. This can be uncomfortable because it requires discipline, humility, and the willingness to confront your own weaknesses and limitations. But it is through this intentional work on yourself that you become resilient, resourceful, and ready to seize the opportunities that wealth building presents. To live by this pillar is to honor a divine mandate of stewardship over the gift of your life and talents. It is a recognition that you are called not only to earn, but to grow, not only to work, but to become, and that your greatest legacy will be the person you've become along the way. Those who commit to this pillar do not merely hope for better circumstances. They build better selves, and in doing so, they lay the cornerstone for unstoppable wealth that transcends the fleeting conditions of the external world. As we turn now to the second pillar, we'll explore how clarity and vision guide this process of personal growth and wealth accumulation, ensuring that your efforts are not aimless, but directed with precision and purpose. Having established the critical importance of working harder on yourself than your job, the second pillar that forms the foundation of unstoppable wealth is the practice of setting clear, written goals. This habit might seem straightforward, even obvious, yet it is astonishing how many people either neglect it entirely or approach it superficially. Clear goals are not mere wishes or vague aspirations. They are vivid, detailed blueprints that direct your actions and shape your decisions. Writing them down transforms fleeting thoughts into concrete commitments, making your vision tangible and your purpose unmistakable. In the landscape of wealth building, goals serve as the compass by which you navigate the complexities of opportunity, challenge, and growth. Without them, you drift aimlessly. With them, you move with purpose and power. Imagine standing before a vast wilderness, uncertain which path to take. Without a map or compass, every direction seems equally possible, but none leads you surely home. Goals are your map and compass in the wilderness of life. They define your destination clearly, whether it's a certain financial milestone, a lifestyle you desire, or a legacy you wish to build. By writing your goals down, you create a contract with yourself, a solemn pledge that your future will be shaped not by circumstance, but by deliberate design. This act of writing commits your subconscious to working on your behalf, aligning your thoughts, habits, and decisions with your deepest desires. As the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. There is also a profound spiritual dimension to goal setting. Vision is a gift, an illumination of what your life is meant to be, a call to rise above mere survival and to thrive in the fullness of your potential. Setting goals is a way of answering that call, a way of honoring the divine spark within you by striving to fulfill your unique purpose. It is a moral obligation to oneself to live intentionally and to steward the life you have been given with wisdom and clarity. Without vision, effort dissipates. Without direction, discipline falters. The formula for unstoppable wealth demands that your goals be not only clear, but aligned with your values and purpose, ensuring that the wealth you build enriches not only your pocket, but your soul. Emotionally, writing clear goals ignites a transformation from confusion to confidence. It stirs curiosity and motivation because suddenly the future is no longer a hazy dream, but a vivid reality you are determined to create. You become like an archer who no longer fires blindly, but aims with steady hands at a well-defined target. This clarity fuels perseverance when challenges arise, because you know what you are fighting for. It turns good intentions into focused action, and it separates those who merely wish for wealth from those who build it relentlessly. As we proceed to the third pillar, we will explore the vital role of discipline, the bridge that connects your written goals to the reality you desire. Because without discipline, goals remain dreams, and dreams remain unfulfilled. Having planted the seeds of personal growth and charted your course with clear, written goals, you come now to the third and perhaps most challenging pillar of unstoppable wealth, the unwavering embrace of discipline. Discipline is the bridge that spans the chasm between vision and reality. It is the steadfast commitment to consistent action that transforms dreams into tangible achievements. Without discipline, even the clearest goals and deepest personal development remain mere aspirations, drifting in the realm of possibility but never anchored in the soil of accomplishment. Discipline is the hard, sometimes uncomfortable work of daily choices. The willingness to do what must be done even when motivation falters, even when distractions scream louder than purpose. It is obedience to natural and divine laws that govern success, a recognition that every step taken with intent builds the foundation for the future you desire. Consider discipline as the bridge spanning a wide river, connecting the shore where you currently stand to the fertile land of your dreams. The river below is swift and unpredictable, representing the forces of drift, distraction, and delay that so easily sweep away those who lack resolve. Without this bridge, you remain stranded, longing for a better life, but unable to cross into it. With discipline, you create a path forward, step by determined step, regardless of weather, terrain, or weariness. Each act of discipline, whether it's saving $1 instead of spending it, reading a page of wisdom instead of scrolling aimlessly, or resisting temptation when comfort calls, builds a plank in that bridge. Over time, those planks accumulate into a sturdy, unshakable structure that can bear the weight of your dreams. There is also a profound spiritual dimension to discipline. It is, in essence, obedience. Obedience to the laws of life that have been established by a higher order. The universe operates on principles that do not bend for convenience or emotion. Sowing and reaping, cause and effect, order and consequence. These are truths that discipline honors. To embrace discipline is to align your will with this divine order, to act not just on fleeting feelings, but on enduring principles. It is to understand that the price of wealth is paid in daily acts of self-control and perseverance, and that shortcuts lead only to ruin. Discipline becomes not a burden, but a pathway to freedom, a freedom from the chaos of drift and the frustration of unfulfilled potential. Emotionally, discipline requires a shift from seeking comfort to pursuing purpose. It asks you to stand firm when the world tempts you to stray, to hold fast when motivation wanes, and to keep walking the path even when it seems long and lonely. This is where many falter, not for lack of desire, but for lack of consistency. Yet it is precisely this steadfastness that differentiates those who build unstoppable wealth from those who never quite arrive. Discipline fosters resilience, builds confidence, and creates momentum that propels you forward, even in the darkest moments. In practical terms, discipline manifests in habits, simple, repeatable actions that align with your goals. It is setting a budget and sticking to it, making that first call toward a new opportunity instead of waiting for the perfect moment, waking early to prepare your mind and body for the day ahead. Discipline is doing what you need to do, not just what you feel like doing. It is the bridge you cross every day, often unnoticed, but without which your goals would remain just distant dreams. As we now turn to the fourth pillar, we will explore the power of your environment and the profound impact that your associations have on your elevation, because no one builds unstoppable wealth alone. As we continue to build upon the foundation of unstoppable wealth, the fourth pillar brings us to an essential truth about human nature and success, the profound influence of the company you keep. To build lasting wealth, you must surround yourself with winners, people who elevate your thinking, challenge your habits, and inspire your actions. The law here is simple yet powerful. Iron sharpens iron. Your associations determine your elevation, your mindset, and ultimately the magnitude of your success. If you spend your days with those who settle, complain, or lack vision, you'll be pulled down into mediocrity. But if you intentionally surround yourself with those who aspire, achieve, and uphold high standards, you will be lifted up, challenged to grow, and propelled toward your highest potential. Think of this pillar as tending to the soil around the roots of your success. Even the best seed, planted in poor soil surrounded by weeds, struggles to grow strong. Likewise, the wealth you aim to build is nourished or stifled by the environment you cultivate. Choosing your associates carefully is not just a social decision, it is a spiritual and strategic one. In the words of the Bible, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Your character, habits, and outcomes are directly influenced by those with whom you choose to share your time and energy. Millionaires understand this deeply. They actively seek out mentors, peers, and partners who embody the qualities they aspire to develop within themselves. There is a theological layer to this as well. Community and fellowship are not only natural human needs, but divine constructs that shape our destiny. Being part of a community of winners means entering a space where values align with growth, integrity, and excellence. It's a spiritual ecosystem where your gifts are nurtured and your potential is realized. The support, accountability, and inspiration you receive in such a community amplify your efforts and keep you on track during times of challenge and doubt. This pillar reminds us that wealth is not a solitary journey, but a shared endeavor, built through relationships that reflect mutual sharpening and support. Emotionally, building a network of winners creates hope and intentionality where there might once have been loneliness or drift. It fills the gaps in your journey with encouragement, wisdom, and a vision for what's possible. When you associate with winners, you begin to think like winners. Their language, their habits, their priorities seep into your consciousness and shape your actions. It's no coincidence that successful people often share similar circles, because those circles serve as the crucible for the mindset and behavior needed to create wealth. Practically, building this network requires deliberate action. It means seeking out mentors who have walked the path before you, joining groups or associations aligned with your goals, and distancing yourself from influences that do not support your growth. It might mean saying no to old friendships or toxic environments that pull you toward complacency. The journey to unstoppable wealth demands that you be intentional, not just about what you do, but about who you become through your relationships. This pillar is a powerful reminder that no matter how talented or disciplined you are, the right associations will accelerate your journey and the wrong ones will derail it. And with that understanding, we arrive at the final pillar, the principle of generosity, sowing more than you reap, giving and receiving in harmony. As we reach the final pillar in this secret formula for building unstoppable wealth, we come to a truth that often surprises many, yet those who live by it experience a richness far beyond mere money. The fifth pillar is the habit of sowing more than you reap, a principle deeply rooted in spiritual law and practical wisdom alike. It is the understanding that wealth, like life itself, flows in cycles of giving and receiving, and that to truly build and sustain wealth, you must first give generously before you expect to receive abundantly. This is a law older than any market, a law written in the rhythms of nature and echoed in sacred texts. The river that gives freely never runs dry. To hoard, to grasp selfishly, to withhold is to block the flow of blessings. To give freely is to invite prosperity into your life in return. Imagine wealth as a garden fed by a flowing river. If the river is dammed, the garden withers, no matter how fertile the soil. But if the river flows without hindrance, the garden thrives, fruits ripen, and life flourishes. This is the metaphor for generosity. When you release your resources, whether time, money, or knowledge, without fear or hesitation, you create an open channel for abundance to flow back to you in ways you cannot always predict. Millionaires know this secret. Giving is not a loss, but a strategic investment in the natural law of reciprocity. They give not only from their surplus, but often from their necessity, trusting that their generosity will be returned multiplied. This trust is not naive optimism, but a tested principle that undergirds their financial success and personal fulfillment. The theological weight of this pillar cannot be overstated. The act of giving aligns you with divine law and cultivates a heart of stewardship rather than ownership. It transforms the mindset from scarcity to abundance, from selfishness to service. In the scriptures, we are reminded that we cannot take our riches with us, but we can lay up treasures in heaven through generous living. This spiritual perspective reframes wealth not as an end in itself, but as a tool for impact, influence, and legacy. Giving becomes a sacred act that blesses both the giver and the receiver, weaving a network of goodwill and opportunity that expands beyond what the eye can see. Emotionally, embracing the habit of generous sowing fills the soul with purpose and joy. It breaks the chains of fear and scarcity that so often bind people to limiting beliefs about money. When you give, you experience a profound sense of connection and meaning that transcends the numbers in your bank account. It invites you into a dance of abundance where you are both a receiver and a giver, creating a flow of wealth that is sustainable and deeply satisfying. This is the final step that completes the formula, turning wealth building from a solitary pursuit into a shared blessing. Practically cultivating this habit means looking beyond yourself and your immediate needs. It means supporting causes, communities, and individuals that resonate with your values. It means being generous with your knowledge, your time, and your financial resources. And it means doing so with an open heart, expecting nothing in return except the quiet assurance that you are participating in a greater economy of grace and prosperity. The more you practice this habit, the more you will find your own resources multiplied, your relationships enriched, and your life filled with a wealth that cannot be measured by dollars alone. Thus, these 5 pillars, working harder on yourself than your job, setting clear goals, embracing discipline, building a network of winners, and sowing generously, form an unstoppable foundation for wealth that is both profound and practical. As we move toward putting this formula into daily practice, you will see how these principles come alive in the rhythms of your everyday choices and habits. Having laid out the 5 pillars that compose Jim Rohn's secret formula for building unstoppable wealth, it's imperative now to move from understanding to action, from theory to practice. The greatest ideas remain mere abstractions until they are woven into the fabric of your daily life through consistent, purposeful disciplines. This stage of the journey calls for a radical commitment, a commitment to live according to these principles every single day, regardless of the obstacles, distractions, or temptations that may arise. Wealth, as the law teaches, is not the reward of sporadic effort, but the harvest of steady, faithful sowing. Each small, deliberate action you take is a step forward on the bridge from dreaming to becoming, from wanting to having. The daily disciplines are the heartbeat of unstoppable wealth. Imagine your journey as climbing a great mountain. The peak represents the financial freedom and life you desire. But the climb is not conquered by one leap or a handful of strides. It is scaled one deliberate step at a time. The habits you form today, your decisions about how to spend your money, how to invest your time, whom to associate with, and how to nurture your character are the steps on that ascent. Some steps will be difficult, some will be exhausting, but each one taken in faith brings you closer to the summit. The question is not if you will face challenges, but whether you will remain disciplined enough to keep climbing regardless. It is the steady rhythm of these daily disciplines that builds momentum, turning small efforts into unstoppable force. In practical terms, these disciplines might look like this: waking early to study and plan your day, setting aside a predetermined portion of income for savings and investments before paying bills, deliberately choosing associations that elevate your mindset, reflecting on your goals regularly to keep them vivid and motivating, and practicing generosity that reinforces the cycle of abundance. None of these actions in isolation feels monumental, but taken together and done consistently, they build a life of power and purpose. The daily disciplines demand presence and intentionality, qualities that counteract the drift so many experience. They require that you refuse to let your circumstances dictate your future, and instead choose to master yourself. The theological underpinning here is profound. Faith without works is dead, and so it is with wealth. Believing in the law of sowing and reaping, in the power of discipline and personal growth, is essential, but it is not enough without action. The habits you practice daily are the evidence of your faith, the proof that you are co-laboring with divine principles to build your destiny. This is a call to faith in motion, a summons to transform knowledge into living truth. Wealth is a stewardship that must be exercised daily through intentional habits. It is through the faithful practice of these disciplines that you align your will with universal law and open yourself to receive the harvest that awaits. Emotionally, committing to daily discipline cultivates resilience and confidence. It changes your self-perception from victim to victor, from someone caught in the tides of circumstance to one who commands the currents. With each day of discipline, you strengthen the muscles of willpower and deepen your trust in the process. You begin to see that wealth is not a distant dream, but a natural outcome of the life you are building moment by moment. This perspective breeds patience, perseverance, and peace amidst uncertainty. It prepares you to withstand setbacks without losing sight of your goals because your identity is no longer tied to outcomes, but to the faithful practice of your principles. So, as you listen now, I challenge you to identify at least one discipline you can commit to daily. One small but powerful habit that aligns with these pillars and moves you forward. It might be setting up automatic savings, reading a chapter of a good book each morning, reaching out to a mentor, or giving generously without expectation. Whatever it is, begin today. Write it down, share it with someone who will hold you accountable, and make it non-negotiable. This is the difference between those who merely dream of wealth and those who build it relentlessly. The choice to act daily is the choice to become unstoppable. With this foundation in place, we arrive at the final segment of our journey, the closing charge. This is where you declare yourself the architect of your own wealth, where you claim the power to write your financial destiny with deliberate strokes, and where you envision the future you are committed to creating. As we reach the culmination of this journey through Jim Rohn's secret formula for building unstoppable wealth, I want to leave you with a charge, a call not just to think differently, but to live differently. You are, right now, standing at the drafting table of your life, holding the pen that will write your financial destiny. Every choice you make, every habit you form, every thought you nurture becomes a line drawn on the blueprint of your future. The question is not whether wealth is possible for you. It is a certainty when you follow the laws we have uncovered. But whether you will take up the responsibility to become the architect of that wealth, the master builder of your own legacy. This moment, right now, is the foundation stone of that legacy. To become the architect of your wealth is to embrace stewardship with intention and courage. It means taking full ownership of your present circumstances and your future possibilities. It means rejecting the role of victim and stepping into the role of creator, builder, and leader of your own life. The laws of wealth do not discriminate. They do not favor the lucky or the privileged. They favor the wise, the disciplined, the persistent. And as you take hold of this truth, your mindset shifts from wandering aimlessly through life to constructing, with deliberate care, the life you desire. Like an architect who visualizes a structure before the first stone is laid, you begin to see the contours of your financial future with clarity and confidence. This responsibility is both a privilege and a challenge. It requires that you hold fast to the principles of the 5 pillars. Working harder on yourself than your job, setting clear, written goals, embracing discipline as your bridge, building a network of winners, and sowing generously, and weave them into the fabric of your daily existence. It demands courage to say no to the easy distractions, to resist the allure of instant gratification, and to stay true to your long-term vision when the path feels steep and the journey lonely. But know this. Every moment of perseverance, every act of integrity, every disciplined decision becomes a building block in the fortress of your financial independence. Imagine your life as a grand cathedral rising from the ground, a monument to your vision, your effort, and your faith. Each habit you practice is a stone set carefully in place. The mortar that binds these stones is your faith in the law, your commitment to the process, and your unwavering belief in the promise of the harvest. The grandeur of this cathedral is not measured by its size alone, but by the strength of its foundation and the beauty of its design. In this way, your financial legacy is more than numbers in an account. It is a testament to who you are and what you stand for. As you envision this future, know that you are not alone. Every successful person who has ever built wealth has stood where you stand now, at the crossroads of choice and action. The difference is that they chose to take up their pen, to draft their destiny with intention and discipline, and to lay down each brick with care. The blueprint is clear. The tools are in your hands. The time is now. Your destiny is waiting to be written, and the wealth you seek is within your reach. But it will require your full commitment, your relentless effort, and your unwavering belief in the power of these principles. So I challenge you now, declare yourself the architect of your wealth. Say it aloud. Commit it to your heart. I am no longer a passive dreamer, but an active builder. I take full responsibility for my financial future. I will practice these principles daily and build a legacy that lasts. Let this declaration be the fire that fuels your actions, the light that guides your steps, and the song that lifts you in times of doubt. The journey to unstoppable wealth is not for the faint of heart, but it is open to all who choose to walk the path with courage and faith. As we close this chapter, remember that wealth is not merely an accumulation of money. It is the embodiment of a life well lived, a life of purpose, integrity, and generosity. The power to create this life is in your hands. Build boldly, build wisely, build with unwavering faith in the formula that has stood the test of time. Your future awaits. Go forth and design it with passion and precision. Before we part ways, I want you to pause and reflect deeply on the journey we've taken together. The unveiling of a formula so timeless and so profound that it transcends trends, economic cycles, and fleeting fads. This formula is not simply a set of rules to follow. It is an invitation to transformation, a call to awaken to the power within you to create unstoppable wealth through wisdom, discipline, and faith. Think about this. Wealth is not just the accumulation of money, but the byproduct of becoming the person worthy of that wealth. It is the outward reflection of the habits you build, the character you cultivate, and the principles you live by. Today, you stand at a threshold. On one side lies the life shaped by drift, confusion, and unfulfilled dreams. On the other, a future sculpted by purpose, clarity, and unstoppable progress. The truths we've explored are simple but not easy. They demand courage to face yourself honestly, commitment to change your habits, and resilience to persevere when challenges arise. But they also bring hope. The hope that no matter where you are now, your future can be radically different if you choose to live by these laws. It's a hope grounded in certainty, not wishful thinking. The law of sowing and reaping guarantees that the seeds you plant with intention will yield a harvest. The 5 pillars offer a sturdy foundation, and the daily disciplines provide the consistent footsteps to carry you across the bridge from dreaming to achieving. Now, I want to extend a personal invitation to you. Take this moment to write down your commitment. What is the first step you will take to live this formula in your life? Will you commit to paying yourself first, to setting your goals in writing, to practicing discipline even when it's difficult, to choosing your associations wisely, or to sowing generously and with faith? Whatever it is, make it real. Write it on paper, say it out loud, share it with someone you trust. This simple act of commitment is the seed from which your unstoppable wealth will grow. Remember, this journey is not a race, but a pilgrimage of steady progress. Be patient with yourself, stay faithful to the process, and keep your vision clear. Each day you practice these habits. You move closer to the life of freedom and abundance you deserve. Wealth is not an accident. It is the fruit of deliberate action, aligned with eternal laws. You have been given the blueprint. Now it's time to build. Step boldly forward and become the architect of your own unstoppable wealth.